The Assembly will now hear an address by His Excellency David Arthur Granger, President of the Republic of Guyana. I request protocol to escort His Excellency. On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency David Arthur Granger, President of the Republic of Guyana, and invite him to address the Assembly.
Mr. President, distinguished heads of state and government, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by expressing the deep condolences and solidarity of the government and people of Guyana to the victims of yesterday's earthquake in Mexico and of Hurricane Maria, which virtually destroyed the Commonwealth of Dominica 2 days ago. Excellency, the Cooperative Republic of Guyana extends its congratulations to you, His Excellency Miroslav Lajčák, on his election to the presidency of the General Assembly. We are confident, Mr. President, that under your guidance, progress will be made in advancing the international agenda and in realizing the theme of this year's Assembly, focusing on people striving for peace and a decent life on a sustainable planet. Guyana expresses its appreciation for the sterling performance of your predecessor, Ambassador Peter Thompson of Fiji, for his stewardship of the Assembly over the past year. I take this opportunity also to congratulate the distinguished Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, on his election last year. I wish him a successful tenure. Excellencies, today I speak of people, I speak of peace, and I speak of the planet. Nothing is more important in this general debate than that all delegates should respect the relevant theme, focusing on people, striving for peace and a decent life for all on a sustainable planet. First, the theme enjoins us to focus on people, people of all countries and in all circumstances. The theme is about the human condition of people in states that are large and small, rich and poor, strong and weak. The theme is about humanity's condition everywhere on earth. The world faces several serious humanitarian crises. Children in too many parts of the world still die from preventable diseases and go to bed hungry. Women in some places are denied equal opportunities to enjoy a good life. The gap between the world's rich and its poor remains unacceptably wide. Conflicts within states have spawned international refugee crises, which have resulted in millions being displaced from their homelands. The Sustainable Development Goals represent our collective desire and determination to eradicate hunger and poverty from our planet, while promoting equal opportunities in education, in employment, and social justice for both men and women. The adoption of the SDGs has catalyzed our aspirations for a better world into concrete and forward-looking actions and objectives. The respective goals seek to promote respect for the inherent dignity of people and their rights as human beings. The advancement of these goals, however, is being obstructed by the incidence of human rights violations and the involuntary migration of people from their homelands, and by terrorism and warfare. The challenge to the United Nations is to resolve to reinforce respect for the rights of citizens within the governance structures of our member states. Excellencies, second, I speak of the planet Earth. A sustainable planet is humanity's ultimate patrimony. Nothing is more important, nothing is more vital to people's survival. We have been indifferent too long to the need to protect the planet. And now its sustainability is threatened on many fronts. Climate change is not a fiction. It is not the invention of a few extremists. The small island states of the Caribbean and parts of North America have felt the devastating fury of a series of hurricanes: Harvey, Irma, Jose, Katia, Lee, and Maria, to whose frequency and ferocity mankind has contributed through the reckless exploitation of Earth's resources. Hurricane Irma was a deadly destructive portent of the extreme vulnerability and fragility of the small island, developing, and low-lying coastal states of the Caribbean. Guyana is playing its part within the limits of its resources to provide relief to the affected populations of our sister Caribbean states. Guyana signed and celebrated the Paris Agreement on climate change last year in this very hall. We renew our commitment to its goals this year. This is a demonstration of Guyana's pioneering role in global environmental stewardship. Guyana, it must be remembered, in 1989, 3 years before the Rio Conference of 1992, had the foresight to enter into an environmental covenant with the international community by dedicating 360,000 hectares of its rainforests, and I quote, to develop, demonstrate, and make available to Guyana and the international community systems, methods, and techniques for the sustainable utilization of the multiple resources of the tropical forests and the conservation of biological diversity. Guyana, 20 years after the international initiative, entered an agreement with the Kingdom of Norway to work together to provide the world with a relevant, replicable model of how reducing emissions and forest degradation, plus conservation and sustainable forest management, known as REDD+, can align the development objectives of the forest countries with the need to combat climate change. Excellencies, Guyana is part of the Guyana Shield, one of the world's last remaining blocks of pristine rainforests. The Guyana Shield is the source of 15% of the world's freshwater reserves. The Guyana Shield's biodiversity provides ecosystem services such as food, fresh water, and medicinal products. It provides environmental services such as the regulation of the water cycle, water quality, and pollination. The Shield's forests capture and store carbon, thereby mitigating the greenhouse effect. In other words, the Shield is essential to life on planet Earth. Guyana calls on the United Nations to help protect and preserve the Guyana Shield as a global resource for the survival and sustainability of our planet. Excellency, I speak of peace. Striving for peace has been the principal purpose and preoccupation of this organization throughout its existence. A good life for the world's peoples and the sustainable use of the planet's resources are predicated on peace with justice, including justice within and between states. The world is weary of war. Striving for peace must be humanity's ceaseless quest. The United Nations is the paramount global instrument of peace. It has a vital role to play in ensuring respect for international law through the International Court of Justice and the Security Council. Striving for peace must aim at resolving long-standing interstate conflicts. Guyana, in this regard, supports the call for the reform of the Security Council to give even greater voice to developing states. We reiterate our support for a two-state solution to the Palestine-Israeli conflict. We affirm the right of the Palestinian people to a homeland and to a dignified existence. We demand the withdrawal of the injurious economic embargo against the Caribbean island of Cuba. That embargo frustrates that state's right to development. Striving for peace and the right to development have been Guyana's deepest concern since national independence in 1966. Excellencies, I addressed this Honorable Assembly last September, explaining the danger we've been facing on our borders as a consequence of the territorial claims of our western neighbor, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. I laid before the world's nations the peril Guyana was enduring on its borders at the hands of Venezuela. Venezuela's claim to Guyana's territory, however, has not diminished, or has it been diverted? Guyana remains imperiled. Disturbing developments within Venezuela have attracted the world's attention and roused the concerns of many of us over the privations of its people. The Caribbean people wish for the Caribbean to be a zone of peace. The Venezuelan claim to Guyana's territorial integrity, however, would be a threat to that zone and to that peace. Venezuela is more than 4 times the size of Guyana. Venezuela, however, claims 2/3 of Guyana's territory, including its maritime space. Your Excellency, we depend on our territorial and maritime resources for the development of our country and for the release of our people from poverty. The Venezuelan claim persists after 51 years of Guyana's independence. An eminent international tribunal provided a full, perfect, and final settlement 118 years ago in 1899. Venezuela repudiated that arbitral award in 1962 at the Decolonization Committee of this Assembly, as British Guyana, as we were then, strove for its independence. Excellency, Guyana warns the world through this Assembly that peace will be at stake in our region if justice does not become ascendant, not only within Venezuela, but also in respect to its border controversy with Guyana. 4 United Nations Secretaries General have been seized of the Venezuelan claim. The choice has become one between just and peaceful settlement in accordance with international law and a Venezuelan posture of attrition that is increasingly more blustering and militaristic. In this matter, protraction is the enemy of resolution. Protraction is the ally of sustained conflict. Your Excellency, fortunately, as they indicated publicly, former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and the current Secretary General Antonio Guterres have both decided that under the 1966 Geneva Agreement, if by the end of the year 2017, significant progress has not been made towards arriving at a full agreement for the settlement of the controversy, the International Court of Justice will be the next means of peaceful settlement, unless Guyana and Venezuela jointly request otherwise. Guyana has been working assiduously with the Secretary General's personal representative. Guyana looks to the international community to ensure that Venezuela is not allowed to thwart the process of judicial settlement, which is the clear and agreed path to peace and to justice. Excellencies, the people of the world yearn to fulfill their potential in dignity and equality and in a healthy environment, an attainable objective of the Sustainable Development Goals endorsed by the United Nations. Peace for the world's peoples is the mandate of the United Nations. Peace can be achieved by addressing the world's humanitarian crises, promoting justice within and between nations, and resolving long-standing conflicts between states. Planet Earth can provide a good life for all. The planet can be protected from the ravages of climate change and the reckless damage to its ecology and biodiversity. United, the nations gathered here can fulfill the promise of the United Nations Charter and the theme of this General Assembly to focus on people, to strive for peace, and to protect the planet. I thank you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Guyana for the statement just made. May I request representatives to remain seated while we greet the head of state.